Welcome back to the Blue Collar Bench. A little slow weekend today, not a whole lot going on, but some good stuff. Ending of the Triple Crown, seeing if Scotty Scheffler can carry on his victories, and some great golf, and some crazy March Madness things going on. So let's just get right into it. The track, I know we talked about it in the last episode, talking about the hole shot and the crossing over of the hole shot, I think 3 times what it was.
Yeah.
Did it play a part?
I honestly don't think it did. I think the riders rode the track very well. There really wasn't a whole lot of wrecks or crashes or really anybody having difficulty on the track. Now, I say there were no wrecks. I know everyone saw that last 450 race with Barsha just T-boning Jet there, but I don't think that was either one of the riders' faults. In all honesty, if it's anybody's fault, I think it was Jet's.
And I think he actually came out, they talked about it after. They met at the end of that race, and everything was good. They were cool between it. I think Barsha actually went over to the Honda trailer, made sure the team was cool and everything. He said it was just one of those things. He was coming in hot to go down, and Jet just came down. In a race, heat of the moment thing, nothing intentional. So they're all good there. No bad blood, which is a good thing.
Yeah. I will say that Joe Shimoda put on a hell of a performance to secure that podium finish. But the fan favorite right now is the chef himself.
The chef.
Levi Kitchen.
And he's cooking.
He is.
He's cooking.
He's whipping up some W's in the kitchen. And I'm for it. I love seeing new guys in the sport succeed. And he just all around looks like he enjoys his bike, he enjoys his team, he's racing or riding his race week in and week out. And, he was definitely the fastest guy on the track. He's been the fastest guy on the track for the past, 3 weeks now that he's raced.
He's definitely the guy to catch. He's not worried about racing anybody else. He's worried about just keeping the lead, and everyone's chasing him. Even RJ said it. Last week he's like, he was clearly the fastest guy. I just got to sit where I'm at. And he tried. He gave him a little run there for a little bit, I think, in the second race. But he just clean laps, clean races, fast. He just could not get around him, which is crazy because RJ's, one of our favorites at the beginning. We were looking forward to seeing him. Yeah. But the chef has taken over.
Yes, and I think he is at the maturity level right now where he knows and understands that this is his championship to win or lose at this point, because I think we only got 5 rounds left, and there's going to be a couple 250 East-West showdowns here coming towards the end, which those are always fun to see. But
you start mixing everybody in, so it's always great.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed watching that Triple Crown.
Last one of the year.
Yeah.
And it did give us the Triple Crown winner of the year. Yes. Which is, good to see. Cooper Webb. So, phenomenal, which is crazy when you look at it. He didn't win the race.
He didn't win a single one of them.
But when you put them all together, total points, he took it. He raced well, did what he needed to, and that's just another accolade to add for him.
And a part of that had to do with the fact that Jet didn't finish that last race of the night, in a good position, just because of...
Talk about race 2. What happened there at the end of it? That was something new to me, and 5 racers I think got hit with a penalty because they had what's the flag like? It's like a caution flag when you're talking about NASCAR.
So it was the red cross flag, which I think this is another key spot in the sport that the AMA needs to sit down and look at. We talked about it early in the season. Would it be beneficial for the riders to have headsets in their helmets? And as we mentioned before, it doesn't have to be a two-way headset. They don't have to talk to anything.
Just receive in.
That's all. Yeah, but that would have saved the riders. I think it was Jet Lawrence, Cooper Webb, Aaron Plessinger, Chase Sexton, and Jason Anderson all hit that double on that red cross flag. And all got penalized 2 positions. I think Jason Anderson got penalized 4 positions.
Yeah, because he did it on the white flag lap and also the checkered flag lap, which all of them missing it once. Okay, he missed it twice. So
well, it's one of those things that he didn't see it because they were waving the white flag or waving the checkered flag, and then he just had the Red Cross flag stuck down here because it's only one guy trying to do both.
And on a full 180 turn, so you've got full control of your bike, making a complete 180 turn to go into a double. The reaction time, I mean, they do have phenomenal reaction time. They're used to it. I mean, they have it. But when you're waving this flag, and that's what you're concentrating on, you're just holding another one right here.
Yeah.
It's very easy to miss.
So I think, as we mentioned earlier in the year, headsets or some type of communication in the helmets would be beneficial for the sport. Mm-hmm. And like we were saying before, it doesn't even have to be that each team has their own channel. It could just be one channel, one person in the booth just tells all the riders at once, here, crash at this turn, bike down, caution, whatever the case might be. And I think, number one, it would make it to where we don't have these penalties like we saw last weekend. Number two, it would be safer for the sport because the whole point of having the Red Cross is because there's a rider down, which in that particular case, the rider was down in a blind spot.
Which would be good for them to know because even if they did hit the jump and took the penalty, it's still safety for the downed rider.
Yeah.
But it was a big thing because I don't know if the outcome would have been different just with how Eli was racing. But you would have went into the third race
with the winner take
all tied with Eli and Jet because they both went 1-2 and then 2-1, which phenomenal racing, but having that penalty knock him back 2 spots really hurt him. And then the final race, he knew he was out, wasn't kind of in it, just kind of racing to finish.
Yeah.
Got hit and finished like 21st. I think he was down there. Like he was well out of it, and I finished with 22 points or something like that. So he was out of the top 15 easily.
And like I said, I don't think that was either Barsha's or Jet's or. I don't think it was Barsha's fault. I think Jet could have been a little bit smarter in that situation because he's just got to know. He's got to know where he is on the track. He knows that
he was racing angry. I mean, he was in a not necessarily angry, but more aggressive.
Yeah,
so I think that's where it played.
And something that aggressive that early because he knows it was only the second or third turn of the lap, so all the riders are still bunched together. So he's got to know that there's someone going to be right behind him. Right. And he just cut a turn too sharp, and kind of like I explained it's instead of following the U-shaped turn, he made it more into a V.
Yeah.
And it bit him and it's one of those things that could have been avoidable had Jet just taken the extra time to consider that there is a rider right behind me who's going balls to the wall, but at the same time, he is a professional athlete. He's making a split-second decision. So,
which comes back to that reaction time.
Yeah,
and it's unfortunate. Luckily, if you haven't seen it, go look at it. It was a decent hit, which is crazy to see that he got up and finished it.
Yeah.
So glad they're both good. They both got to finish it. Unfortunate weekend for Jet. He's still leading, I believe.
He is.
That was 8 points, I think, is for second place right now.
He is, and right now with Eli Tomac winning the Triple Crown last weekend, we got 4 riders who are all within 30 points in the championship series with 5 rounds to go. And it still is no one's championship just yet. Mm-hmm. Jet obviously has that lead, but he's going to have to get another win, maybe 2 more.
And then secure it.
And then even after that, he's going to have to get podiums for the rest of the year and probably get 2 more wins just to make sure and solidify that he gets this 450 championship, which is huge because it's still technically his rookie year on a 450 in the Supercross format.
Yeah, which would be crazy. I mean, just for him, just that kind of confidence boost going into it, continuing from here on out.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, they're actually off this week, and there's no more indoor.
Correct. So it's all outdoor for the rest of the year.
Which five more races that are crucial that he needs to win. Like you said, at least 2. Weather might play a part at some of them, and we've seen how he's done in the mud. It's not his strong suit.
And I think that after they get it's a 2-week break, so they're off this next weekend. Then they go to East Rutherford, in New Jersey. So that's going to be another one. It's going to be, the weather up there is unpredictable, just like it is out west in Washington and Seattle. So But I'm excited. The season's coming to an end. Of course, we have the summer season right after, but this has been a great Supercross championship.
Yeah, definitely didn't disappoint. Even with the ups and downs, it's still been great across the board. The tracks have been crazy. They haven't disappointed.
No.
It's been great. I'm looking forward to the next 5 races just to see who can actually pull it off. Because, like I said, it's not anyone's race yet. It's not anyone's championship, and it's doors open.
Yeah.
Doors open. So it'll be good. I guess just going back into something that was a little unorthodox with PGA.
Yeah, Scotty coming off back-to-back wins, going into a weekend that he had every possibility of winning a third straight tournament.
Yeah.
They had some interesting scorecards down there in Texas, and
Which Texas always plays great, always good courses. Tony Finau won it last year. He was in the hunt for it to win it again, go back to back, which is just crazy to do as a PGA Tour athlete.
I think he had a 4-stroke lead, either ending day 3 or going into day 3, something like that.
Yep.
And I think he ended up being tied for second after it was all said and done.
I think so, yeah. I mean, so he was right there. He was knocking on the door. But the crazy thing, which is something, looking back a month ago, maybe a little longer, Scotty Scheffler was struggling with putting.
Mm-hmm.
What's he going to do? How's he going to fix it? He's world number 1. We talked about it, and then he came back and he destroyed.
Yeah.
And changed his putter. Fixed it. Then this week comes out, and it was his weekend to lose, and he lost it. Unfortunate, not to take away from the guy that won it, Steven Yeager. Props to him. Phenomenal weekend, phenomenal scores. Scotty Scheffler missed, I think, like a 3-foot putt to send it to playoffs, which didn't guarantee the win. Just playoffs, which would have been great to see them in it. We always look forward to a playoffs, extra holes, but...
Which, even then, Scotty, I think he had a lot of missed putts on that final round. He
did.
He had every chance to just flat out or outright win. But you could definitely tell that this was a little bit more lighthearted tournament because even the instance on that par 3 where he hit it 10 feet from the pin, had too much backspin on it, rolled all the way into the water. I mean, he was laughing about it. There was nothing he could have done. It was probably one of the most beautiful golf shots that anyone can make. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he had too much backspin, and as we always compare to us, average golfers can't get backspin at all.
No, and if we do, it's total accident. And,
Yeah.
We didn't plan on it. But, no, it was good to see him be kind of relaxed about the situation. And I do think coming up, we got the Masters this month.
Yeah.
Coming up to it, I think he's going to look at it as a learning thing. Like, okay, let's fix this. Because he put a few into the water over the weekend, which is very unusual for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, very lax tournament. I don't think he was stressing as much, kind of just working on things. I think that's what a lot of the top guys are doing at this moment. It's going to be interesting to see how he kind of bounces back because, 2 weeks ago, he won because someone had a lip-out putt.
Yeah.
And then it comes back and he loses because he missed a 2-3 foot putt. And it just kind of full circle there.
It's just a beautiful sport. It's a very grueling, unforgiving sport, but it is a beautiful sport.
It definitely is. And I would love to be on any of those courses, but if you look them up, they're not easy to get into.
Which I'm excited. I know you mentioned the Masters coming up this month. We mentioned it before. We got some live golfers who were returning to play in the Masters. I also heard that Tiger Woods he visited Augusta a few weeks ago.
He's on the list. He is active to...
But he hasn't announced if he's joining or not joining
He hasn't,
yet.
no. And I think it's kind of like an open door, and it's going to be one of those things, if he knocks out, they could bring in an amateur, or they could bring in, someone that's on the tour card, and it could be their debut.
Yeah.
We all want to see Tiger. We all want to see him play. We all want to see what he can do. Personally, I think he's at that point. He's going to try to win a few Masters, try to just compete and make some cuts. I don't think he's going to push it.
No, and right now, the past few times we've seen Tiger on the course, earlier this year, obviously got sick, had to leave. Mm-hmm. Last year, he was on the course, but ended up withdrawing from the tournament because he couldn't maintain the stamina Yeah.
Yeah. He had a few, the stamina. I mean, he's walking the course after he had a huge injury, and weather played a part. It was rainy, cold. It hurts him in ways that it wouldn't hurt an average person that doesn't have those kind of injuries. He's getting older. I mean, it's playing a part. I'd love to see him on the senior tour. Put him on the golf cart and let's see what he can shoot. He doesn't have to walk 18.
Yeah, if he could be on a golf cart and save some of that energy from walking hole to hole, because some of these golf courses are not short. I mean,
not at all. I mean, they're playing 7,000 yards, and that's if you're just hitting the hole. That's not counting the ups and downs and arounds and everything they got to take.
Yeah.
But if he can give it one more good shot in the Masters, he would love to, be in the running for another green jacket. We'll get a little closer into it probably next week once they put out the full lineup as far as who's in there, what we're thinking. Obviously, John Rahm won it last year. Brooks Koepka, he's going for the full sweep of Masters tournaments and major tournaments. And Rory kind of still wants to make a statement for the year. He hasn't really done anything.
And, Rory definitely needs to do something. Because right now his FedEx Championship points are slipping away, and I know he's chasing the Masters. That's the final major.
It's his fifth one. His last one he needs to just complete. It's going to be interesting. I do think it's going to be one of the more competitive Masters events this year, especially with Live, PGA together now that they're kind of merged as one in a way. And you've got great athletes in it. Still got Scotty Scheffler, world number one. Yep. You got Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth. They're still around there. You got Tony Finau. You got these younger guys that you're like, who are they? They're showing up.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be great. Got another week here in Texas, and then on to Augusta.
Yeah.
And they're already showing videos and pictures of it, and it looks beautiful, as it always does. And another big thing they talk about, the food pricing and the menu. I don't know if you've seen those.
I saw them last year. They're up. They're high.
No, these ones are low. They're low.
Really?
They said Augusta does not get affected by inflation. You bring $20 there, you can have a good meal. You can have which is crazy because they know what they're bringing.
Yeah.
But the tickets aren't cheap together.
Yeah.
So they're making their money.
They made their money just for the people who go to the event. And it's also one of those things that what we saw at Waste Management will never happen at Augusta.
No, and Augusta is a lot more strict. We've actually got someone that goes down and normally works it, kind of like just helps out. You can't bring your own phone there.
No.
Your phone has to be left. You cannot have your phone if you're on the course. You can go wherever you want. You cannot have your phone. No. Your phone comes out, they take it, you're gone. No matter what you paid for your ticket. It could be the first hole you're there or the 18th, you're gone.
Yep.
So they're very strict. It's a great tournament to be part of. I know one of the big things is also with the winners, their final meal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always fun, something to look at. Got another good week. I don't know if they've released who's coming up for this next Texas tournament.
They have not.
I don't know if a lot of the main guys are going to actually sit out, kind of rest, work on some stuff. It's typically how it works. I'm excited to see and just keep the push and all the young guys coming in with it, though.
I know we're kind of going all over the place, but we've had a lot of sports this past weekend.
It's been crazy.
Here recently, we've had probably one of the most interesting March Madnesses in the basketball world.
Men's and women's.
And that's because of the women's. There is more chatter and conversation coming from the women's side, or the women's tournament, than there is coming from the men's right now. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we got NC State, which is a bit of an underdog story in both men's and women's, both making it to the Final Four.
Which is crazy for their school, for their program, and possible recruiting coming up.
And it's just it's even crazier because NC State was one of those teams that a lot of people felt shouldn't even have been in the tournament at all.
Yeah, and I don't think the men's team really was until they went into their conference ACC championship, and they haven't lost since the start of that.
And basically, that's what it is they're stating. The team has adapted this "why not us" mentality. They've molded it. Now that's all anybody's talking about in the locker room.
They got hot at the right time.
Yeah.
DJ Burns, phenomenal.
What'd you say? There was that gentleman that said if you bet your money on NC State money line.
They put out, if you started the ACC tournament at the start of it, you started with $100 and just kept rolling it over. the first one was like 100 to make 130. Like, all right, cool, 130, and then all of a sudden, if you were last weekend, your original $100 would have turned into like 140,000.
Yeah,
which is crazy because we're not going to keep rolling it over. I mean,
No.
you don't have that much trust in them. I mean, going into
that just shows the odds that were against them coming all the way through. Like you said, the conference tournament, the March Madness tournament, and then on the flip side, you get some headline stories like Caitlin Clark scoring 40 points by herself to beat the reigning national champs at LSU.
Yeah, which is, and I know a lot of them are going to come back and say, "Oh, Reese got fouled out." She got fouled out with like 1:40 left. And I think they were down 9 at the time. Yeah. So they would have needed something crazy to come back. But Caitlin Clark put on a clinic. She got her revenge from last year, and
she's definitely a shooter. And watching her play, she doesn't even set her feet every time.
No.
And
her range is insane.
Yeah.
She's just like, pull it from anywhere. Logo, cool. 3, cool. Half court, fine.
The funniest is
she's got the range.
Watching the LSU defenders just being like, what can we do? I mean, you can't defend that.
Yeah, I think it was Haley was on her all night, and everyone was giving her, issues like, oh, she dropped 40 points on you. It was like, you couldn't defend her. It didn't matter what you did because she doesn't leave you room. She had all the room to shoot. I mean, it was crazy. Like, she was even just sitting there just shrugging.
Yeah.
Like, after a shot, she's like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Because she played good defense. I mean, it was unfortunate to see LSU go down because, personally, I want to see another LSU-South Carolina rematch. What could happen? Can South Carolina get them back? But now South Carolina and even Iowa, they've got a tough road in the Final Four.
I do. I think and another story, you got UConn women's and UConn men's both in the Final Four too.
And the UConn women's beat the number 1 seed USC to punch their ticket to the Final Four. So that's crazy in itself. I think they said the LSU Iowa game was the most watched game through March Madness, and possibly even more than that. So that's just crazy to see that a sport that so many would see as women's basketball, it's growing. It's great. It's phenomenal athletes that come out of there.
It's only going to carry over into the WNBA too because all of these girls are going to get drafted.
I mean, 4 or 5 of them I think that were in the Elite 8 were actually on like the U.S. women's team and stuff like that in training. So you're bringing that kind of athletes into college ball that have been representative of the U.S. So it is nice to see that. I did also see, just kind of like side note, speaking of Caitlin Clark, her projected salary if she goes to the WNBA is like $76,000, and she was offered to go to the Big 3 for $5 million.
Yeah.
So,
and right now they said that there's a potential that she can do both.
Yeah, which would be, crazy. Don't want to burn her out. She's a great athlete. I don't know if she's one that's going to chase money, where a lot would. I think she's going to go and still try to build her career and her legacy in a way. So it'll be interesting to see. We do got with the men's, we've got UConn, Purdue,
NC State,
and Alabama.
Which that was another crazy story because you had Clemson, who was another team that a lot of people didn't think was going to
really
make it as far as they did, and the only people who had Clemson going as far as they did on their brackets would have been Clemson fans.
And even some of them were like, are we sure?
Yeah.
Phenomenal showing to them. Free throws and threes killed them in that game against Alabama. And it's crazy to think Alabama and Clemson for basketball because, like they've all said, it's Alabama and Clemson? Was it January?
Yeah.
Watch the football championship? Nope. They both made it to the Elite 8, which is crazy. And free throws, threes killed them. Being an SEC fan, I don't think they have a chance against UConn. I think whoever won that Alabama-Clemson game, that was kind of like their last win because UConn looks great.
I think Charles Barkley said it best last week on his show. Is there is a team out there who can beat UConn, and they're in Toronto and they're called the Raptors. That's how good UConn is playing.
Yeah, they are playing well, and with that statement, I do hate it because you can always even just tie that back into college ball and everything. They're always like, oh, Alabama could beat the worst NFL team. Can you? Because it's supposedly the best athletes in the sport. So, but they are playing that kind of caliber. They are up there. I don't see them losing easily.
No.
It's going to be a struggle. You're going to have to play a perfect game. You're going to have to eliminate turnovers. It's going to be a crazy Final Four. It really is. On both women's and men's, it's going to be a crazy Final Four. March Madness did not disappoint whatsoever.
No, it did not. And now, the one thing that might have disappointed is I'm pretty sure the men's Final Four is in Phoenix, Arizona, which is probably beautiful this time of year. And then you have the women's Final Four in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah, which is never beautiful any time of year.
Easy now. But even coming from Ohio, yeah, Cleveland, I would much rather be going to Phoenix as my tournament getaway than be going to the city on the lake, or as some people call it, the mistake on the lake. But we won't talk about that.
Yeah, we'll let that go.
But talking about another city in Ohio, one that I've recently started watching, and I've already become a huge fan, is...
we got him. He's a fan now.
The Cincinnati Reds. We had opening day or opening week of baseball, and out of the 4 games I've watched, I've seen a bottom of the ninth solo home run win. I've seen a extra inning grand slam to win a game,
which is great.
And then I've just seen a flat out whooping. So, I am hooked. This is going to be a great baseball season.
I will say baseball did probably one of the best things, and you came in at the best time. I went in right before the rule changes with the pitch clock.
Yes.
Things like that. The amount of stolen bases just adds excitement to offense.
Oh, dude.
It's crazy. And like I told you, you've got a crazy young guy on there that's going to steal bases all the time whenever he can. And then the pitch clock just allows for more quicker games, more offense, more scoring.
Yeah, definitely the quicker games is definitely one thing that was beneficial. Because I don't think I could sit and watch a 5-6 hour game. But especially with how some of these games go where you'll go 6 innings without any team scoring. Mm-hmm. But
which even now, I mean, if you do get that, you're still getting guys on base. They're just not getting quite home. So it's still offense in there, even though they're not scoring. So it is totally different. Unfortunately, the Padres are not doing great right now. They started their season early. I think they had the out-of-states tournament. They started with the Dodgers, so they started their season a little early. I think they were 3-3 going into last night's game, and first inning we're down 4-0 and finished 6-2. So it's a little rough. They're figuring out some things. Pitching has been a little bit of a struggle, but one thing I forgot before the start of the season, we got rid of Juan Soto, which blows my mind. And not only got rid of him, but sent him to the Yankees, who are undefeated right now, which is crazy for the first time, I think, since like the 80s.
Yeah.
They're 5-0.
Yeah, and obviously, since we're baseball, they play like 160 games or something crazy. We'll just have to see how long that streak goes. But after this very short week of what I've seen so far, definitely makes for an interesting season. Mm-hmm. It is going to be difficult trying to watch every game because they play like every single day.
Either at 140, 440, 640, or 940. So
yeah.
Fitting it into a schedule is crazy. Because they could have 2 games in a week or 6 games.
I think like right now, I think the Reds play a 3-game series against the Phillies.
I think they're
started
right
yesterday, and then right after that, it's a 3-game series with the Mets with 1-day break. So it makes you wonder, when the F do they practice?
In between. I mean, they got spring ball and everything. A lot of them are practicing there. They get their few rest days. There's really not a big practice. I mean, the teams are big. And when it comes to your hitting lineup, it's not as much of a struggle. It's your pitching.
Yeah.
How's your bullpen? How are you going to get out of there? Are you going to set them right?
Which was crazy because watching over the weekend, I watched the Braves-Philly games, which was, the Braves' first series they played. And Max Fried, who typically is the Braves' closer, got pulled in the first inning over the weekend. He threw 32 pitches in the first inning and got pulled, which
it's crazy.
And I mean, it was a smart play because I think Philly was up 2-0, and they already had a guy on second and third with 1 out. So it just wasn't his day. It's one of those things that, as a new fan watching the sport, I never would have thought it would have been that difficult, but you could see the frustration in each one of his throws.
Mm-hmm.
And even like last night watching that grand slam and the Reds winning, you could just see the Phillies pitcher was like, he's fresh out of the bullpen. They brought him in because they were going to extra innings, and he was supposed to be the closer. Next thing you know, you got the bases loaded. And I think this one, well, no. The first one, Sunday, they had the bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, and that was the guy who had the grand slam hold, or the solo home run. Last night, I think it was just, he had 1 out or something.
Yep.
So it definitely...
Grand slam in the top of the extra inning really puts the pressure on the other team.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's crazy. And it's also crazy to think you had extra innings that went to that distance, and it was a 3-hour game as opposed to a 9-inning game that lasts 4.5 to 5.5 hours. So that definitely makes the game more interesting and more entertaining and more suitable for non-fans.
Yeah.
Becoming fans, which is great. I love what baseball's doing. They also changed it last year where every team is playing every team at least once.
Yep.
Which does change, now you don't have the Braves playing, the worst team in their side 17 times. It's like, Of course they're going to have 80 wins. They're playing the worst team 17 times. But I think it'll level up the playing field. I'm interested to see how far the Yankees can go with this win streak. Can they keep it running? They added a monster onto their hitting, and I think he's coming in at number 4. So you got Judge out there still, who's freak of nature.
Yeah.
They're pitching. I think they figured that out. Last year they had a lot of injuries, so it's going to be interesting to see the season. It's a long season. It is a long season.
Yeah, I mean, it's April, and we got to get to October, so...
Yeah. Little side note, the UFL did start.
UFL did start, and from what I saw, it was a pretty big opening weekend. I mean, obviously when you have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as the co-founder of the league, you're going to have some big names and superstars coming to the events.
Yep.
It was nice to see some NFL stars. I mean, you had Deion Sanders, you had Troy Aikman there. I saw them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, they're out because a lot of them, the old NFL stars, a lot of owners in the NFL. I mean, they're coming up to the draft. They're seeing, well, if I don't get what I want in the draft, can I pull these guys? Because they're looking at, there was a kicker that kicked a 64-yard field goal twice. They tried to ice him, and he's like, I got this.
Yeah. Does
it again with room to spare. It wasn't like just barely over the crossbar. Room to spare. And then I don't know if you know Destroy on he always did online TikTok, YouTube stuff, videos of kicking a ball.
Mm-mm.
They gave him a chance. Now this guy is actually a kicker for the UFL. They gave him a chance, and he got iced, missed it right, and then goes back out there after getting iced, nails it. And the UFL, I think, is becoming a place for, well, you didn't give me a chance. Let's see what you can do.
What I like about it is the fact that, and even The Rock almost advertises it or encourages it, is he doesn't want his players to just be his players. He wants these players to get seen by an NFL organization and potentially move up to the NFL. And that is cool because obviously as the UFL, it's a very young league.
Mm-hmm.
It's brand new because it's the merger of the XFL and the USFL.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that they have that understanding that, hey, if a player wants to leave my league and go to another league, that's a good thing.
What can I do to help you get there?
Yeah.
It's becoming the feeder team like all baseball teams have. They all have a minor league team that hey, you're not quite ready, let's send you back down here, work on some stuff, or hey, this guy's doing really well, let's bring you up. The NFL's done it because there's only so many picks, and I know everyone looks at it, draft day. It's like, it's 3-4 days long. That's a lot of players. There's a 52, 55-man roster throughout the season on 32 teams. It's a lot of numbers, but there's so many more players out there when you look back at college. So this is giving them, I didn't do well in Pro Day. I didn't get drafted. Where do I go? This is my next chance.
Hot take. Would a UFL NFL merger be beneficial? Now, I don't mean NFL teams play UFL teams. I just mean that they have, like you were mentioning just a second ago, they have an agreement and understanding that the players that are at UFL, on UFL rosters, are there basically to then be brought up to the NFL.
Kind of like, I mean, if
Now,
you're looking at injuries and stuff.
the sport would definitely have to grow a lot because unlike Major League Baseball, where every Major League team has their own minor league affiliate, there's not 32 UFL teams out there. So it wouldn't be fair because not all teams would have their own affiliate.
Right.
But just something...
But you can still plug. I mean, if the Patriots need a kicker or wide receiver, I'm going to Alabama. I'm going to go get some of those guys that play for the Stallions because they've got a good team. But I do think it would be good for like injuries and stuff because you got to think if it comes down like, oh, we're out of kickers. They're all injured. Something happened, hamstring. Well, you go to free agency or you go who's just sitting like on the block. There's not always a kicker there, but that guy's kicking a 64-yard field goal with ease. I'll take that guy.
Yeah. And I don't know if it ever would come into fruition. I don't think football is the sport that can necessarily make that kind of partnership work. But if the UFL can last longer than, a couple of years, because they've tried the USFL before, back when we were
They tried it. It kind of fell out. It got brought back, and
they even had the XFL before.
They had the XFL, and they brought up the UFL's here. It seems stronger. They kind of merged two that would have died on their own, merged together a little bit stronger. I do think there's a lot of potential, and also it gives us football in April.
Yes.
So that's a selling point for a lot of football fans. You get football in April, and it makes August not seem that far away.
Yeah.
Because we all look forward to it. At college and NFL, that's always going to be there. Add another thing, spring ball. Why not? Why not? I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be good for the sport itself. Like I said, just for these athletes, for these kids that come in, they worked their entire life through college, and they're like, I didn't quite get it. Here's your second chance in a way.
Yeah.
So
for some of these kids, that might be all they want. I mean, it's not every day that you get to go into meetings with The Rock.
Yeah, and a lot of them just want to keep playing.
Yeah.
I mean, they just want to play because they love the sport. I mean,
I think they even have one of the coaches is Bob Stoops, ain't it?
I think so.
Yeah. So yeah,
it brings out great names. I mean, crazy
and then
people.
You had AJ McCarron, I think, was out there last year.
Yep, he was out there. They brought him. It's also a good place for some people that don't quite fit in with the NFL yet and not quite ready, kind of like a minor league team of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Go down there, work on some stuff. Maybe just they don't have the right attitude, something like that. They're going to bring them in. So, I don't know. It could be interesting. It's going to be great to see. And like I said, good extra football. Can't beat that. I
think that's it.
Got Augusta coming up. Got the draft at the end of the month. Got some big things. Some big possible moves with the draft. It's going to be great. So, we're looking forward to it. And
speaking of the draft, who cares if Caleb Williams has painted nails and a pink iPhone case?
He had painted nails when he played in college. Who cares?
But
hey, if they want to talk about it, let them talk. It's just bringing more publicity to him. We're going to bring him in when he comes in.
He's not coming to dinner with you. He's playing on the field on Sundays.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, and if he has his painted nails, it says, number 1 draft pick. Okay. So, hey.
I mean, and I don't think any NFL organization really...
They don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care. They're not looking at that. They just want to say, can this guy get the ball into my playmakers?
Exactly.
That's all they want. Is he going to show up and show out? So, that's what they want. So excited for Augusta in the draft coming up.
Yeah, we got a hectic few weekends. A
few lulls, few busy parts. It's going to be interesting. Got the Final Four coming up for March Madness, I believe, this weekend, and another good round in Texas. Got 2 weeks off for Supercross. Looking forward to it, and football's back.
Football is back.
So,
see ya.